beauty is my power. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is fairest of them all?
You are the fairest, but there is another destined to surpass you.
How was working with Rupert Sanders on his first feature different than some of the other productions that you've costumed for?
Well, I knew Rupert from commercials, so I'd done a couple commercials that bared no resemblance on this, and Rupert was saying, you know, I'm trying to get a movie, and you know, I talked to him a couple times about it and been enthusiastic about him doing a film because I think he's a very talented guy and very visual and interesting. And then he called me and said, oh, I have a feature, you know, can you read it? And I read it and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe you're doing this for your first movie, Rupert, it's crazy. But, you know, he did it, and I'm very proud of him. He really was able to keep it together for all that time as a first timer. It was a huge accomplishment.
Now, when you were talking about the costume design, which, lovely, did you decide on a specific historical period to start with, or does the fact that the film is fantasy give you freedom to do whatever you want? You
know, you sort of loosely kind of plug into, you know, pre-Renaissance sort of medieval period, but for me, it sort of covers almost, you know, 400 years of research, which is, you know, light as far as depth of research for costume, because it is a fantasy piece, but you sort of draw loosely from one time, kind of that sort of essence, and take that and spin it into the tale that you're going to tell.
What sort of elements did you bring into the costume design that weren't necessarily historically accurate but were right for the piece?
Well, I'd start with the Dark Army.
Yeah.
Which is actually almost like, you know, early armor, like pre-Christian Greek, pre-Greek armor, but not really, like it's got a spin on it. Mm-hmm. So I'd say I'd start with that, because that's like, and that really needed to relate to the crystalline world we see at the end, that's sort of Ravenna's particular magic. So we wanted to take the element of the dark kind of crystal thing and turn it into an army that's like a virtual army. And then the army that it's battling against is a romanticized, kind of a little bit later, kind of romanticized army. So that part is very, I'd say, very loosely licensed. But I think sometimes to tell the story right and in a way that's as fast study as a battle, and for what we needed it to do, was, you know, the way that we knew what we were doing. It wasn't like we sort of made a mistake. I mean, it was researched.
Yeah. Now, you've worked with, I believe you were with Charlize Theron before on That Thing You Do?
Yeah, that was my first job with Charlize, and I think one of her first jobs in America.
Yeah, she had a very small role in that. Now, obviously, this is a very different kind of costume job for her. What sort of things were you looking to put Charlize in to make her look good and sell the character?
Well, I mean, with Charlize, it's a character-based process. So I was looking toward, you know, helping her figure out Ravenna and who Ravenna was in the story, and we sort of started with a lighter, kind of more hopeful, softer character, and she was fated to fail in that world, and did very quickly, and then we went into sort of the dark, evil, tortured Ravenna that, you know, that she plays in the story.
Yeah. Now, a lot of the materials that Charlize and Kristen in particular have to be in have to work on sort of a feminine, just sort of looks good sort of aspect, but then they do have to do a lot of action and running around. And do you have multiple versions of these costumes for that, or are they all designed?
The costumes that are worn for the action sequences are all multipled. Yeah. Kristen's costume, there's 20 of. You know, they also not only did the action, they went through mud, water, all different aspects of aging, so I had to have a lot of those. Ravenna's costumes, the ones that took the heat, are multipled up. The final costume, the black armor, and the gold costume, there's multiples of.
Yeah. Who would win in a fight, you or Sandy Powell?
Sandy and I are actually good friends.
Yes, but if you got really drunk.
If we got really drunk? I don't know. I think it'd be a tie.
I've actually always been curious. You've worked with Tim Burton a lot. How many shades of black are there?
Well, There's all kinds of shades of black, but there's other colors that Tim's not given credit for using a lot. There's red, there's blue, there's white. He's like a very kind of light touch in colors, but then there's always the black. So to me, Tim is sold as a dark character, but to me he's quite light, and it's interesting the spin that's taken on him. But it's interesting also in my time that I've known him with his children and stuff, he's kind of gotten more into fun, like different colors, like in Dark Shadows there's like tons of color. He totally embraced the
Very
period and the
pastel,
color.
right?
Yeah.